My name is Wendy, and this is the first episode of Wonky Moon Crafts podcast. Primarily, I'm going to talk about my knitting, but I also may talk some about crochet, yarn dyeing, anything fibery, creative, fun, that could get worked in. But again, primarily knitting. So that being the case, let's get started with what I'm wearing. This is the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter. I recently finished this. The two yarns in it are, you have this creamy color. It's the BC Garn BioBalance, color 01. It is a 55% pure organic wool, 45% pure organic cotton. It's fingering weight, and it is very nice. I've never used a summer type yarn before, but so this is kind of my first foray into that, also into doing fingering weights all over sweater, as well as all over color work. Well, not all over, but doing color work like this in like a shirt. I've done like a cowl before, but that's about it. So this is kind of my biggest jump into this. I've been knitting for about 2 years. So there's still some things I'm trying out and learning how to do. And this is one of them. And the color work portion is spin cycle, dyed in the wool. It's classified as a sport weight. It seems a little light to me, but hey, what do I know? 100% American wool, and the color is straw flower. So again, this is kind of my first color work. So one thing I started it and had to restart it. One, because I messed up my count on my lace, but I was going to live with it, like being a little crooked, a little slanty. But then I was having trouble with a little bit of puckering, and it just didn't seem right the way my color work was going. So I went up a needle size, and then I also used a longer cord. That really helped me, because usually I try to keep a little bit smaller cord than the circumference of my project, so that way I'm not scooching it as much and I can go a little faster. But with this, having a smaller cord meant that I kept making my floats a bit tighter. So I actually used a longer cord than I would normally use, like a little too long. So it forced me to have to move the stitches when I needed to move them, which meant they always stayed a little bit more spread out, and I didn't have to think about it as much when what was what. But that being said, my yoke is way off compared to the pattern. It's much longer than it's supposed to be, but I don't mind it at all. I like it. I think it's fine. And then I also made the sleeves. You're supposed to pretty much do like a couple rows and then start the lace cuff and then add on your lace cuff. I did about a 1/2 inch before I started the cuff, because partially I wanted to wear this, to work or to whatever, to family things and stuff like that. And although nobody really cares that much about all the tattoos I have, which you can't currently see, but I do have some significant tattooing, I wanted to have something that I could wear and just not have to think about if I was around people that it was a little bit more surprising to. I just didn't have to think about it and just add that to my day of processes. So I wanted to go a little bit longer and just kind of make it so that I could still wear something summery that's not long sleeve, but hide at least a little bit more of my tattoos. I mean, I still have some that show, but at least it's a little bit less. But overall, I'm really happy with this. And it's kind of been my go-to lately for what to wear. And I wasn't that sure about this before when it first came out and everybody was making them, I wasn't that sure about it overall. Like, I really like this kind of Scandinavian flower type folk art design in general, but I just wasn't sure about the lace. I wasn't sure how me it was, but I'm so glad that I made this. And honestly, it was in large part because I had the straw flower for another project for a tessellated pullover, and it just didn't work. I just couldn't get it to work with the other 2 yarn combos, and I just couldn't find something that worked. So I got a different yarn for that and put this on hold. And then kindly I got gifted a gift card to for some yarn, and so again I wanted to try out some summery yarn, so I thought I'd start with a wool cotton blend, and I'd kind of already thought that maybe I would make the Alpine bloom, use the straw flower, but then I would want something a little bit more neutral, which, as you'll see on this, I'm not the most, don't typically gravitate towards neutral colors, but it just worked with this combo, I felt like. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. Like, for me, this was very much like I got yarn for something else. It didn't work at all. And I was so excited about that project. But then this colorway that I was so in love with worked. I feel like it just works perfect for this design with this yarn combo, and I'm just extremely happy with how it turned out. And for my first color work, round yoke, finger weight, I feel like, yay, I'm going to take this as a win. It's a little bit off gauge, but you know what? I like it, and I'm going to rock it. So that's what I'm wearing today. All right, up next, whips. Okay, so I've got a lot of whips, let's be honest. I love casting things on, and I really struggle when I get to sleeves and things like that it's really hard for me to want to finish them then. So I get very excited about planning projects and starting them, and then I kind of get bored. So what I'm going to focus on is my 3 kind of major whips that I've been mostly focused on right now. I've gotten a little bit better about staying semi-focused on things. So my current whips are, first off, I'm going to talk about what I'm called my bucket list sweater, because I like watching the Sibling Energy podcast, and on there they were doing a bucket list make-along, and it started on January 1st, and so I decided to cast on as well. And I am making the Champagne Pullover by Sari Nordlund. So if you're not familiar with the make-along, it is kind of like that thing that you just don't know if you can make, or you're just unsure about. And we really have basically a year to kind of make it. I'm hoping to have mine done by Thanksgiving is my goal. So it's very kind of a slow make. Let me show it to you. I first off, I dyed the yarn. I do have a tendency to, sometimes I buy yarn for different projects. I also, though, like to buy undyed yarn and dye it up for specific projects as well, which sometimes is hit or miss. Sometimes I like to just see if I can make colorways or whatever, and then figure out something to use it for later. But for the most part, I've been pretty standardly over the last probably 8 or 9 months, really dyeing more for a specific project in mind. The interesting thing is sometimes it's fun to combine colors and see what comes out. And there also just has to be a certain amount of okay, I know I'm gonna aim for green or a dark green. But when you combine your colors and whatever, I also just kind of accept that okay, I don't know exactly how this is going to turn out, but this is the yarn that I have. So this is what it's going to be. This is what I'm going to wind up making with this project, which I find fun. And sometimes the colors, even in the dye pot or whatever, don't necessarily look exactly how I had them in my head. But then when I actually put it together and put together the project or whatever, I'm pleasantly surprised by how it turns out, and I get really excited. So that being said, I wanted to make a red champagne pullover. So I dyed some fingering weight. I don't know if the camera can really pick up what this truly looks like. It's red. It does have a bit of a pinky undertone, but it is primarily a crimson dye. So it does have, like I said, a little bit of a pinky undertone. I think I used a little bit of black toner and crimson from the Jacquard acid dye, whatever. And in this yarn is, I want to say 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, something similar to that. I got it from Nomad Yarns. So that is this. And then I have mohair that I dyed basically in the same pot with it so that I could get as matchy as I could with my colors. This mohair on a silk core lace weight to hold these two together. So that is what I dyed. And this is where I'm at so far. Uh-oh. I've got a little, it was hooked around my handle. Okay, so this is what I have so far of. Ta-da! Okay, so this is I'm making the size 3, which is typically I pretty much, on the rare occasion I've decided to go up a size or down a size, I have regretted it. So I pretty much always do a medium or a size 3. That's pretty much the go-to. I honestly had no idea how to check the gauge for this. And I could probably at this point check this stocky neck section under the arm and figure out how close I am to gauge. But at this point, I've come so far. I'm not pulling this out. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just not. I might do it at the end just to see. Just for curiosity, but I don't even want to know if I'm on gauge or not at this point because I'm just going to keep making it. So I'm hoping it's not too big. Honestly, when I started it, I thought it was too small. But now I'm thinking that when I block it, it's going to grow, and I'm a little worried it might actually be a little too big. But whatever. It's fine. That's the one thing is because I am medium size 3, typically I fall into a spot where if it's kind of right in the middle on that size. So if it's a little big or a little small, it's usually not that big of a deal, to be honest. So it's a little more oversized or it's a little more fitted, but I usually fall so right in the middle on that size that an inch one way or another isn't going to be the end of the world for me. We'll see if that changes. Obviously, with sleeve and length, that's a little bit different, but I tend to block before I finish my sleeves or my length anyway, just to make sure that things don't grow too much. But as far as width goes, I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, this is the back panel. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I've never done lace like this before, other than just a couple little eyelet rows. I've never done laces before like this. I've never done cables before. This is both new to me, and I am really enjoying it. And now I struggle doing with stockinette. I just want to do everything lace and cable now. So that's where I am at on this. I'm hoping to get through the body in the next couple months so that hopefully by maybe September, mid-September maybe, I can start the sleeves. Because again, my goal is to have this done by Thanksgiving, but I really don't work on it that often. On the weekends, usually Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings, one of those or both is my usual go time. I'll do 3 or 4 rows and that's it. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to manage that. But this is where we're at. I'm happy with this. So I won't give too many updates on this as very often just because, like I said, I don't make a lot of progress on it. But if I make some significant or progress, or when I do make some significant progress, I'll reshare that. But that's where I'm at on that one. So that's my first whip. And yeah, that's my slow whip. Next, I am going to show you my Eva cardigan. So I wanted something really fun, like a fun cardigan that I could wear with t-shirts, like graphic tees. That would be something just sunny and happy and fun and all the things. So first thing was I got really excited about Hedgehog Fibers, Woolen Company. If you've seen Wool & Co., they are, my yarn is wrapped around stitch markers that are in my bag. Hold on. Okay. So if you've seen Wool & Co., I know some people talk about it, they like it. Well, it turns out I actually travel to where I didn't even realize that this was a store that people really liked and was popular. Every time I travel somewhere, I look for a yarn store, and I actually fairly regularly have to travel to outside of Chicago. And so when I was looking for yarn stores, I found that yarn store and I started going to it, and they have an amazing selection of yarn, and they will order like Sandusky, like all these European ones, like just really nice different brands. So anyway, they have Hedgehog Fiber, and I had seen this colorway that was, I want to say it was called like Lazy Days or Sunny Days or something like that, and I became obsessed with the idea of holding this mohair with undyed yarn to make some sort of cardigan. Lo and behold, when I went to the store, they did not have the mohair in that colorway, but the shop lady was so incredibly nice and helped me pick out something very similar. Not exact, but something, pastel-y and fun and magical and all the things that unicorns and rainbows and sparkles, would be great and fun and just sunny and happy. So I've got Sun Shower. This is it all kicked up. Sun Shower by Hedgehog Fibers in their mohair. And then I'm holding it with just some undyed sock yarn. I think it's the same kind as in my champagne pullover. So here's where I'm at on this. I decided the Eva cardigan would probably be it's just a fairly plain cardigan that would be fairly simple. So this is where I'm at. I have a few more inches on the body to go before I start the ribbing. Then I do the sleeves and the button band. I'm very nervous about the button band. I've made one cardigan before, and I redid the button band about 3 times. It's still not great, and I just couldn't do it again. I just couldn't. But I'm very excited about my Eva cardigan, and I'm looking forward to it, and it's so soft. So I'm looking forward to finishing this. I've already got a little graphic tee to wear with it, and I'm sure I'll wear a bunch of different ones, but I'm very excited about this. I do not have buttons yet. Buttons are definitely the thing that I'm just unsure about. I've been looking at Etsy. I've been looking at some fun little flowery ones, like clear with flowers, like pressed flowers in the buttons. I've been looking at some fun unicorn buttons. But maybe I just want like pink or purple, or I don't know. I really don't know. Because there's already like a certain amount going on here, so I'm just not sure what I want to do with buttons. But I feel like buttons are just so fun to kind of play around with and add like an extra little something to your garment. So I'm not sure what I want to do with that yet, but this is the Eva cardigan. So I have one more whip that's kind of my like current whip. And this one I'm getting very close to being done with. But as I like this, the Alpine Bloom, and making this, and like I said, it was my first kind of foray into summer garments, and I was getting so excited about it when I was making it, and I've had my eye on the Rota sleeveless top for a very long time. I decided that I wanted to make another summer garment, and kind of just go ahead and see if I could do it. I was a little nervous about if you're not familiar with the Rota, here it is actually. It's got this kind of lattice pattern, and I genuinely was like, I don't know how to knit that. I have no idea what I'm looking at right now, because I've never made, again, I haven't really done much in the way of cables and different things, and I really just had no concept of how to make this. I did crochet. I crocheted for about four or 5 years before I started knitting. So to me, this seemed very much more like something you'd crochet versus knit. But wanted to give it a shot. This yarn is Knit Picks. Let's see, it's Knit Picks Shine Sport Weight in the color Serrano, which, as you can see, is a red. It's red. I don't know. I love jewel tones and anything like that, but clearly I've got 2 red projects going on right now. I'm kind of steering clear of any more red for a while, but I do love these, and I'm so excited about them. So in the Rota pattern, Rota sleeveless top, there is a pullover as well, but in the sleeveless top, you can do kind of a cropped version, or you can do the full, a little bit longer version. Like the cropped is kind of the main one. So I've decided to go ahead and lengthen mine. So, which essentially means that these sections like this, from kind of here down to here, is one section. So you just add one extra one. So I could have stopped here and had the cropped version, but I decided to keep going and make this a little bit longer. So I'm almost done with the second section. Then you do a split hem, and then I just need to go back and put on the sleeve ribbing, which is going to look pretty much just like the collar here, because I already did that. And then this will be done. So I'm really close. The thing with this is it is a very heavy yarn, so it does make my hands and mostly my shoulder, honestly, my shoulder and my arm, it makes it tired. So I don't do too many rows at a time on a day. So this, even though I started this, when did I start this? I think at the beginning of June. I guess that's actually pretty good for me. Usually it takes me months to finish something, because again, I start like 4 other projects, but whatever. just do you. So I started this at the beginning of June, and I was flying on it, but as it started to get to where you join in the body and there were so many more stitches, it was really wearing me out. So I had to kind of take a break and do it slower and slower. And that's when I really kind of started on the Eva Cardigan and getting it going. Cause this was just too much for my hands, but I really like it. It's soft and silky, and it's just, I think it's going to be really nice to wear over a little tank top or whatever for the summer. And it just finally got hot here in like the last 2 weeks. I'm in northern Ohio, so it finally just got warm enough to actually like wear shorts and things. So a tank top might actually be good. I'm hoping to maybe have it finished by the 4th of July. It feels like a summer picnicky type thing to wear. Although you could style it many ways. That's kind of my thought. I do want to show this. There is this kind of interesting side detail. Let me see if I can show it to you here. See, it's got like almost like a little cable on the side, which is kind of fun. But that is the Rota top. So hopefully next time we chat, I will be done with Miss Rota, and maybe I'll have it on. That'd be fun. So that's my current whips and what I'm trying to push through. But I'm also, so again, I've been trying to be really good about not casting on stuff when I get really excited about it. But that means that I spend a lot of time thinking about it while I'm working on my current whips and trying to finish those. So I have a couple things. So I've definitely got some like things on the docket for what I want to kind of do next. And probably more than I can finish in the rest of the year, but at least. And then I have a couple of other whips that aren't really active right now, but I do still want to finish. I just kind of, they took a pause, especially because it's in warmer weather now, and I couldn't wear them anyway. So I'd rather focus on some of the warmer weather things that, like this tank top and, you know, the Alpine bloom that I could actually wear sooner. That being said, so keeping that kind of same frame of mind, it'll still be warmer in like August, September. So I'm 99% sure that my next project, and I already have the yarn for it, I will definitely make it, but I think it's going to be my next big cast on. So my current thought for my future projects is when I finish the Eva cardigan, which I'm hoping to do by around the 25th of July, the end of July. That's going to be a tall order for me, but I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to do my best. So my goal is to, because I have to go away for work for like a few weeks. So I love like knitting in the airport, knitting in the hotel at night when I don't really have anything to do anyway, because I'm typically by myself when I go to travel. That's when I do it, like really get my knitting on. And so I want to cast on and start a new project. And my next project I'm looking at right now is what, I believe it's the Portobello pullover. It is, I'll put the exact name in the show notes, but it is it's basically like a Henley. So it's got the little bit of buttons right here. The collar is just like a little ribbed edge collar. It's long sleeve. It's got some stripes. I'll put if I can figure out how to do some awesome editing, I'll put a picture. But my color choices is, again, this was on I wanted to try out some more summery yarns and was in the wool blend, cotton plant fiber blend scenario, because I was worried I didn't know how it would work with my hands, if they would get too tired. So when I was at Wool Company and got my hedgehog fibers for my Eva cardigan, I also got this. This is Sandusgarn Duo. This is where does it say? 55% merino wool, 45% Pima cotton. Sandusgarn Duo. And it is a DK weight, I believe. I don't see that it says that, but I am 99% sure this is DK weight. And these are the colors dark dusty rose, I believe. And they actually had to special order more of the dark dusty rose for me from Wool Company. But they're so nice. And then they shipped it directly to my house, since again, I don't really live there. I just happened to go there. I'll put the color again down below, but I am 99% sure this is the dark dusty rose and this is dusty rose. So this will be the main color, the dark rose, and then I will do the lighter stripe in the lighter rose color. So that is kind of my plan. I already have buttons for it. They are little clear sparkly flower buttons, and I'm excited to just kind of have a very like staple, casual. I recently as in a few months ago, I finished the stripe hype sweater, and it's just like, I really enjoyed how it's basically just like wearing a sweatshirt, but it's a sweater. And you know, the champagne pullover is, I'm excited about that. It's something that I can kind of dress up and have a little bit different flair for my knitting with, and even my Alpine bloom. Like, although I would definitely wear this with jeans and stuff like that. I can also wear it to work. It's a little bit in between. So having something that's a little bit maybe just kind of that, like, wear it with jeans, lounge around the house, wear it to the grocery store. I could wear it with khakis and wear it to work, but like, just that's such an all around, just kind of simple, just throw on and whatever. type knit was very appealing to me. And I think that with the yarn combo, I think this is something that'll be really nice because it is long sleeve, that it will be nice to wear through kind of the fall when it's maybe too warm to wear full wool. But with the cotton in this, I think this might just be one of those really nice, like, I imagine it when it's, again, I live in Northern Ohio, so we get those crisp fall days when the leaves are turning, and this will be like, it'll be long sleeve to keep a little of the cool off, but I still won't have to wear a jacket or anything. So I'm really hopeful that kind of fills this role for me. So I'm very excited about this, and that's also why I wanted to kind of hopefully start this basically at the end of July, August time, and I hope to have it done by maybe mid-September, end of September at the latest. Being this is going to be really my only project for at least like a month-ish, 2 months, we're going to be doing a lot of traveling, and I'm hoping that that's actually a reasonable goal to finish if I'm not really working on a bunch of other stuff. Again, for me, projects tend to take a really long time because I start like 3 of them while I'm working on one. And then I get to the sleeves and I just kind of stop. So I'm hopeful. I have been working on breaking that trend and I've been doing better this year. So I'm hopeful that is what this will be for. So that is that. That's kind of my next hopeful project. Okay. And then last but not least, I made an acquisition and I really don't know what I want to do with this. Okay. So here's the thing. So again, I travel for work, and one of the other places I travel to fairly regularly is Maryland, Eastern Shore area of Maryland. But when I do that, I have a tendency to fly into Baltimore, and then, because I can get a direct flight, and then drive 2 hours to the Eastern Shore. I can do layovers and get closer, but then I have to do layovers. And I can just drive for 2 hours and listen to like an audiobook. That works for me. So anyway, I will take my hour-long direct flight into Baltimore and then drive. Well, I recently learned watching Table 10 podcast, which I've been obsessed with, that they were talking about going to the Magpie Fiber like brick and mortar store in Maryland. Maryland? I go to Maryland? What? Okay, so then I decided that I had to look at where they were. Well, so they're about an hour. Frederick, Maryland is about, so I go east from Baltimore. And Frederick, Maryland's basically like 50 minutes west of Baltimore. So it's not the most convenient, but hey, I'm that close and I can go to Magpie Fiber. Why not, right? I've never been there before. I've never really seen their yarn. I was very excited. I've heard such good things about it. Looking online at their color palette looks amazing. And then I heard Table 10 talking about their Equinox line of yarn, which is their summer base, basically, summer yarn base. And so again, I've been really into the summer fibers and all of that kind of stuff. And on a side note, I should say, so I do dye a certain amount I do like to dye for my own yarn for specific projects. I have not figured out how to do anything with plant fiber blends. I tried once and it was a disaster. It is something I would like to learn and figure out, but at this point, to have a summer yarn is not even an option for me to do myself. I need to purchase it somewhere. And sometimes there's some things where it's like you just want to try out a special brand, or sometimes it is, if you're not like, because I don't dye for a company, or like I don't have a company that I'm dyeing for and selling my yarn. There are less options for places to kind of buy undyed yarn in bulk at good prices, which also means there's less kind of unique blends and stuff like that I can get. So there is sometimes that I just want to get something special and unique. So I might buy like a certain brand or whatever. But in this case, like I said, I am also very summer into these summer yarns, and really excited to try those out and make my knit wardrobe more of a year-round wardrobe. So that being said, I wanted to check out their Equinox. So I spent like 2 days in the hotel because I traveled for work, and then I went back. Then I went, the day I drove to the airport, I went past the airport to Magpie Fibers and then drove back to the airport. So I had spent like 2 days in the hotel in the evenings going through Ravelry and things like that to look at different patterns that I could potentially use with the yarns, looking at the yarn online to see what the yardage is and all of that kind of stuff. And again, I've been kind of not in love with just straight stockinette knitting lately. Lace cables, I've been enjoying that so much that I do want to keep going with that. And the Portobello Henley that, I was just talking about that I'll do next, the Eva Cardigan right now, they are just stockinette, and which is kind of nice for like when you just don't want to think that hard, but you still want to knit and kind of take your mind off things. Those are good for that. But sometimes I also want to like kind of sink my teeth into something a little bit, and stockinette just doesn't do that for me anymore. So having like one of each kind of project going is also awesome. So here's my dilemmas. So one, I want to finish the Eva Cardigan and then do the Portobello. Completely unplanned and not a project that I had any intention of doing, was another project after my Rota Sleeveless top. But now I'm thinking, why not? Why not start something after that? I don't know. But anyway, either way, whether I start it after the Rota or I wait so that I can get more done on the Eva Cardigan, I'm not really sure, but I did buy some yarn from Magpie Fiber. Okay, so I bought their Equinox. This is called, can you see it there? La Freak. It's so pretty. This is the sport weight. They have a worsted and a sport weight. I found more patterns that I thought would work with the sport weight than the worsted weight. I didn't really care which I got, but I did find more that I thought would work with this. I have still not settled on a pattern. I've been very up in the air, but I did check, and there was about four or five patterns that I found that I was like, I could maybe make one of those. I wasn't in love with it. I wanted to see the colors and things because I was also not set on a color before I actually went to the store. But I had kind of checked them all, and about 3 skeins of this, which is what I purchased, was going to be enough to kind of do any one of those patterns. Pretty much short sleeved tees or a tank. The 3 skeins was going to be the right amount. So I got 3 skeins of this. Again, unsure what I'm going to make with it. I did, when I got home and I started looking for more patterns, I did see Sari Nordlund's new book, The Summer, I'll put it in the show notes or whatever, Summer something, Summer Knits or something like that. Her brand new book does actually have a little cardigan in it with a little bit of lace that uses this exact yarn. However, I don't know if that's what I'm feeling right now. I don't know. I just don't know if it's feeling like me right now. It's very pretty, very beautiful. I'm just not sure if it's me right now. So, I'm still up in the air. I had really wanted to, for a hot minute, make the Colette tank, and I might still swatch and see if it'll work. But she used DK, and Ravelry actually says worsted weight. They both kind of seem closer engaged to sport weight to me, so maybe I can get away with it, but I don't know if I can do the Colette tank or not. I don't know. I just don't know what I'm going to make with this. But I even had considered doing like a Maggie cardigan by Petit Knit, where it's just plain, so I could just kind of wear it with whatever. But again, I'm just not feeling plain right now. I want something fun. I want something fun, a little bit different, and I feel like maybe between the champagne pullover, I don't know, I'm just not feeling super flowery. It's not flowery, but like I just don't want to, I'm not feeling like this kind of lacy right now, if that makes sense. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I just want something. I don't know what. So, just something a little different, I think, is what I'm looking for. And just, yeah, I think I just want something a little different is all. And I just haven't quite found, I think, what I'm looking for. And so we're going to figure that one out. But there you go. That's what I got. This beautiful yarn. It is so soft too. And the store, I don't remember what her name was, or I don't even know if she told me honestly, but the lady at Magpie Fibers told me the more you wash this, the softer it gets. And I felt a sample that was so beautiful. So there's that. And then, because I could not resist, I bought one more skein. This is their Swanky sock base. It's amazing. It's called Double Dutch. Touching it is like, I don't know, it's like a dream. It's like sunshine and happiness. This whole skein is sunshine and happiness and cuddly warmth. It's like if I were a cat and I were curled up under a window in the sun with some house plants around, it's like some little succulents around me or something. Like that is what this color is. And this yarn, the whole combo, it's just pure sunshine. Anyway, so I'm very excited about it. This is 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And my plan is to make some socks with this. So the one skein should be totally fine. I will, and also maybe little hair bows. Because you don't know this, but I just recently got my hair cut like this. I had a pixie before, so I just grew it out enough to do something different. And I've been really into like little piggy tails. And I did see a little Ravelry thing for some little hair accessories and some cute little bows. So I think they're going to be so fun. But also, and I will get more in depth with this when I actually go to make these socks and figure out exactly what pattern and all those things that I want to use. But I last year made, I want to say it's the Stockholm Pullover by Petit Knit, one of her vests. And one of her vests. It's the vest version. And I dyed yarn and mohair almost exactly the same color. I held the mohair that I dyed up to this when I got home, and they are the same color. So which of course neither the main base of that yarn that I used for that is not sock weight yarn, like sock weight yarn. So I couldn't really use it to make socks. I love the idea of using my leftover yarn to make socks to match the sweaters that I made. Granted, I have all these sock ideas socks that I want to make, not just ideas, patterns, different things of socks I want to make, and I just can't. I just keep making sweaters and I don't have time for anything else. But I'll get there. And when I do, I'm going to make these socks. I think I want to make them either with a little ruffle or something to wear with my sweater vest, which again, I'll have to wear sometime on the show. But I wear my sweater vest typically over a button-up, short sleeve button-up shirt that's white with little primary color hearts all over it. So I think these socks would be so fun with a little ruffle. I have some little ankle pants, dress pants that I wear to work with little loafers. And then I'd have my little ruffle socks sticking out with my sweater vest and my heart to be all kinds of sunshine and all the fun vibes, because that's how I like to roll. So I'm very excited about this. And also, again, it is the color of a cat laying in sunshine. That's what this yarn is. That's my best description. So I'm very excited about this. Okay, that's my acquisitions. I did purchase the Sari Nordlund book. I do not have it. Her new one, I do not have it yet. So I'm kind of waiting that to see what to do with that other yarn. We'll see what happens there. But that's kind of everything I have right now and what I'm working on, what I'm hoping to do. I have lots more plans coming up, But hopefully you are having a wonderful time knitting, doing all the things, crocheting, dyeing yarn, making stitch markers, embroidery, weaving, spinning, whatever it is that's your thing that you're doing. Hopefully you enjoyed that and were able to do some of that while we chit-chatted. And if you have any questions or comments or want to tell me what you've been working on, I would love to hear. If you want to put that down below. I would also love recommendations for any other yarn stores in Maryland. I feel like there should be more around there, but I kind of looked around and I didn't really see too many, but I mean, I know there's got to be. Because yeah, again, I'm going to be spending a lot of time there in the very near future. And so I could make a couple little day trips as my little reward for working hard. So if you have any recommendations or anything like that, definitely let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful knitting week, life, all the things, love, happiness. I hope you can spread it in all that you do. And that I hope maybe our little chat today was just something to give you a little joy too. So have a wonderful, wonderful day and whatever you have coming up. Bye.